Hello everyone, welcome to a World of Warship Blitz video. Today's video is the second stats review of the Russian battleship. So we'll start with the Izmail, the Tier 6 Russian battleship. Now I did the Vladivostok earlier, so one important item to point out with the Izmail that I hadn't made clear with the Vladivostok is it actually has 4 repair kits instead of 3. So, yep, when you put those captain skills in, you definitely want to look at the 10% reduction in cooldown for your damage control kits because you get 4 of them rather than 3 of them. So your repair kits, your damage control kits, yep, there's 4. Right, so let's look at the stats. I won't be comparing it to the Queen Elizabeth because the Queen Elizabeth is fully upgraded. I won't be comparing it with the Normandy because I don't have the Normandy, and we know that the Normandy is rather special, so let's not go too far into that detail. So stepping into where we start off, normally survivability, 35,200 hit points, 12.5% citadel protection, 15% flooding and fire resistance, 13.5% damage reduction, and 13.5% torpedo damage reduction. So a little bit worse off than the Tier 8, obviously. The Bayern comes in with 3,000 additional hit points, or just nearly 3,000. Yep. Same citadel protection, 12.5%, 10% flooding and fire resistance, better damage reduction, and worse torpedo damage reduction. So the Bayern probably, the damage reduction means that it's more resistant to shell fire. It's more vulnerable to burning, as anybody who uses German battleships is probably fully aware. The Fuso has 2,500 point edge in hit points. It's a larger ship. However, the citadel protection and damage reduction are all behind the Izmail. Flooding and fire resistance is also behind the Izmail, and torpedo damage reduction is the same at 13.5%. So at the moment, the Izmail is looking like pretty much the tough ship on the block. It also, where is the Izmail? It's 5, so the New Mexico, well, American battleships really do have the reputation of toughness, so 45,000 hit points additional to 40,000. Same citadel protection at 12.5%. Slightly worse flooding and fire resistance, which is interesting, 12.5%. Better damage reduction by a percentage point and a half, and torpedo reduction, damage reduction is, I think, around about 7.5 points better than the Izmail. So the Izmail is tough. Not as tough as the New Mexico, although the New Mexico will pay for it in the next category. Speed, this does 27 knots, 25 seconds to full knots, 4.7 maximum traverse speed with a turn time of near as 15 seconds, which is obviously 6 knots faster than the New Mexico. The New Mexico gets up to full speed a lot faster, but to be fair, the full speed's so much slower that chances are the acceleration is at the same rate. Because it's a squat little short ship, it does have 5.1 degree per second traverse with a much better turn time of 11 seconds. So it's a lot more maneuverable, but that speed really, I can tell you, American battleships, when they're on your team and you've got a central cap, I really do struggle sometimes. Maybe that's just me. It is also faster than the Fuso. So the Fuso does 24 knots as opposed to 27-ish of the Izmail. Time to full speed is still getting close on 25 seconds, so pretty slow. Same traverse speed, 4.6, and same turn time, which is 14.7. I think those are exactly the same figures. Oh no, the Izmail turns slightly faster than the Fuso. The Bayern is more maneuverable, but then again slower. So slower, slightly more maneuverable. 22 knots, so 2 knots faster than the New Mexico, but about 5 knots slower than the Izmail. That time to full speed is better, but still to a slower full speed, so probably same acceleration-ish. Maximum traverse speed 5.4, much better than the Izmail, and the turn time 13.5, which is getting close. Now, where we are going to be looking to see with interest is the guns. So I looked at the tier 8 and the guns of that were very similar, very, very similar to the North Carolina, but slower firing. Now these reload in 23 seconds, which is likely to be the slowest of the reloads. Range is 11 kilometers, which is not that great. I mean, obviously this is unupgraded. HE damage, they've got 12 guns, HE damage at 870, 12% fire chance, and 1310 AP damage. So let's just go, before we go too much further, let's just see how we rate down here. So these have the same slow reload, but they fire out further, they do more damage, and they have a higher percent fire chance, but a slower turret traverse. So weaker guns than the New Mexico. These reload, well, as 12 of them instead of, yeah, there is 12 of them on the Izmail as well. Reload a bit faster, shoot to about the same range, do a bit less damage with a slightly better fire chance. So the guns are better than the Fuso, but the Japanese generally tend to have better dispersion, although the Fuso does feel a little bit like a shotgun. The Bayern, talking about shotguns, the Bayern 19 seconds reload, much quicker. 12.5 kilometer range, which is, well, a lot further than the Izmail. About the same HE damage of around about 900, 870-ish, 900. 9% fire chances, which is the same. This does much more AP damage. There are only 8 guns, obviously, so it's firing less downrange. So the AP for a full broadside of the Izmail may actually be heavier than that for the Bayern, although the Bayern fires considerably faster, 4 seconds faster. So here it's, well, interesting. At this point, I'd stop to say that the ship is sort of got its unique place. It's quite different from the other ships that are out there. The layout is a little bit like the Normandy in that there's no super firing guns and they're all dispersed with infrastructure. Let's have a look at the secondaries. It's got 130mm secondaries, the 7-second reload, firing to 4.5 kilometers and doing, well, nearly 300 damage, 250 damage with a 2% fire chance. Obviously, the secondaries on the Bayern are much better. Almost a 7-second reload, but fire a good kilometer further. Is that a good kilometer? Oh, well, over a kilometer, 1.2 kilometers further, do much more damage. They are AP, and it has auto secondaries as well. So there's no comparison there with the Fuso. Larger secondary, 6-inch instead of 130mm, so 152mm. 9-second reload, which is too slower. They do fire a little bit further at 4.8 rather than 4.5, and they do a lot more damage. And there's 14 of them as opposed to the well, it's 18 on the Izmail scattered around. New Mexico, 127mm, so destroyer gun, 6-second reload, which is a bit quicker. Good range and good damage. So the secondaries on the Izmail are actually, the main guns are slow firing and nothing spectacular. The secondaries, well, I'm going to have to say they're nothing spectacular either. So the Izmail is something we're going to have to try it in combat to find out where it fits. AA, it has AA, but nothing really worth writing home about. Better small AA, but worse large AA than, for example, the Bayern. Better AA all around than the Fuso. Obviously, if we compare it with the Americans, yeah, it's comparable with the Americans, to be fair. And the detection is a good, well, it's a bit stealthier than the Americans. Obviously, the Fuso, which can be seen from orbit, is a lot worse. So, yeah, it's just going to be interesting, the meta. I'm not sure how much difference these additional consumables are going to make. So this having 4 damage control kits at higher tiers where there's a lot more fire started, I'd probably say that that's going to be a major advantage. But at tier 6, I'm not so sure. Anyway, that is the Fuso. It does come, not the Fuso, the Izmail. It does come with historical camo that, well, it's quite a nice design. Well, by historical, I'm not really too sure that historical really qualifies. Let's have a look at some upgrades. What are the upgrade options? Probably I would take main battery reload time and main battery traverse speed because, well, the traverse speed's okay, but that reload of 23 seconds, anything you could do to shave some time off that is going to be helpful. So that is the Izmail. I hope you found that interesting. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.